Central Washington, former Vet Corps member, and just a great human being.
The reason we're in this room is not for me, but for Dr. Peter Schmidt. I'm excited to be here to introduce a man who helped change my life. So, I wanted to start real quick with just a quick quote, because this man loves quotes. PTSD does not define who I am, but it has shaped who I have become. It is a part of my story, but it will not be the end of my story. Sergeant John Davis, Iraq War Veteran. What I think is great about what Dr. Peter Schmidt works tirelessly to do is to empower veterans and everyone that works with veterans to for the betterment of their life and their mental health. Dr. Peter Schmidt is a senior manager of the Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs Counseling and Wellness Programs, where he has the honor to oversee the development and expansion of several programs, along with a dedicated and talented staff who are very kindly taking care of the cameras and the video and everything else. So I think what would be best here is just ultimately a round of applause for the WDVA folks and Dr. Peter Schmidt. Peter served as an executive director.
I was done reading, sorry.
Peter served as the executive director of the Center of Learning Connections, co-founded the Veterans Transition Support Center. Veterans Training Support Center, was the Dean of Student Success and Retention at Edmonds Community College, and Director of Counseling at Grace Harbor College, and dedicated the majority of his career in higher education, and is twice tenured counselor and tenured psychology faculty. He has also counseled veterans and their family members as a war trauma counselor for the WDVA. Dr. Peter Schmidt has been a champion for this organization for multiple years, and it's an exceptional treat to introduce him today. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Please hold your questions unless he's asking for interaction, and I'd be happy to get you the microphone. We are recording, so we'd love you to have the microphone in your hand. If you don't wish to hold it, then I'll hold it, or however that works. But thank you all.
So good morning. Oh, that's not going to work for me. We're going to try that one more time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. So can we get the first slide? Thank you, sir. This is dated from a number of years ago. Admiral Mullen. I'll let you just take a second to look at it. So I think this quote says a lot. I can see the heads nodding out there. I wish you could stand up here and watch what's going on in the room right now. But the quote says a lot. And I don't think that, less than 0.5% of our population, general population, is served in the military in the last 20 years. And I think the chasm between understanding military service and our civilian population is growing. And so we need to bridge the gap of understanding and cultural understanding between those two worlds. So I see you folks as ambassadors, change agents, and liaisons, and that's why you're here today, is to speak the gospel of military culture to help the civilians understand out there the cost of military service to the lives of our veterans, their family members, and to those who are serving currently. Anyway, if we could go to the next slide, please. So I have the honor of being with you for the next less than 90 minutes. We've got a lot of information to share, or we have. And I'm going to say there's, man, I didn't realize there were going to be this many people here today. But if I take a look at you collectively, individually, and let's say I take the average age of 50, right? I know there's somebody that's older and some of us that are younger, but let's just take that average age. And I multiply that out by, let's say there's 90 people in this room. That's 4,500 years of life experience. I cannot match that. None of us can match that, but collectively we have experiences to share. And I hope that some of you feel comfortable enough in this room to share some of your story. And to me, that's the most important part of this presentation, because while I'm a teacher, I'm a learner. While you're a teacher, you're a learner. So we are both teaching and learning together today during this time that we have together. So with that said, my hope is that you will apply the content of this information, and I believe in my heart of hearts that by the end, if you take this information out there, you will save lives. I have been, in the past when I presented this information before, I've had people come up to me, I've had people share with me about how they were able to take a couple of the slides in here and work with their veterans to help them understand the transition that they are going through, that they don't understand that they're going through, but they were the bridge between the two worlds, the civilian and the military cultural world. So, with that said, given the content and the time in our conversation, we may not cover, you know what, I'm in denial, I'm sorry. Given the content time in our conversation, we may not cover all the slides, but we'll see what we can do in our time together. Of course, you have access to these slides. It's not proprietary. I wish you well in taking it and going out. If you're going to make some money off of it, please donate some back to the agency. Not to me, but to the agency, or we'll figure out a way to collect that. I will say finally, this presentation is geared toward a combat experience. And while many people who have served have not gone to combat, I believe the information shared can still help understand what military service is about. So, combat, and while the majority who have not seen combat, also impacts our family members, it impacts our friends, there's a ripple effect. And so it's all of us that one's raising the hand and says, I will serve. It impacts a lot of us. So, with that said, if we could go to the next slide, please. I feel like I'm speaking to the choir in here. And so we're going to see how much wisdom that we have in the time we have shared. So, for those of you who have served in the Armed Forces, Guard, and Reserves, would you please stand? Would you believe I've done presentations where I've not had anyone stand in the room when I've asked this question? But we'll get to the second one. If you are a family member of someone who has served in the Armed Forces, Guard, and Reserves, would you please stand? That means a cousin, uncle, grandfather, aunt, whomever. Anybody still sitting? I can't see back there. Yes? Okay. If you have a friend, an acquaintance of someone who has served, would you please stand? Everybody standing? Look around the room and how we are all impacted by military service. Thank you very much. And for those of you that did stand who served, appreciate that. We appreciate that. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, you got to play. Yes, thank you. So here are my objectives as an educator. I always try to look for processes about what are you going to walk away with? And here's what I'm hoping that you're going to walk away with, at least. You're going to be able to describe 2 Battlemind skills. Some of you are very, very familiar with this concept, I believe, already in some of those. You're going to list 3 environmental psychological stressors veterans face during active duty. You're going to identify 3 adverse effects of Battlemind in a civilian setting. And you're going to recognize the prevalence of substance abuse in active duty, which carries on into our civilian world. Okay, given those outcomes or objectives, did you have anything else in mind that you wanted to walk away with today? 1001, 1002, 1003. Okay. And if something does come up, please feel free to share. So, I would like you, with the person next to you, if we go to the next slide, please. Person next to you, and if you know somebody, reach out beyond yourself. and meet somebody new, extend your hand. Hi, my name is, and I'd like you to answer this question. What images and thoughts come to mind when you think of military or veterans? I'm going to give you a couple minutes, so think about that, pair up with somebody, and then share. Okay? And I'm going to walk around and listen. Yes, the coffee was really good today. All right. Thank you very much for those of you that did participate. I'm looking forward to hearing some of your responses. So, I'm curious, what images and thoughts did come to mind? And Tony, are you running a mic, right? And then I'd like to know your name, if I could. So, Sean, go ahead. We'll give the mic to Sean. I didn't plant Sean. Okay? I just know him, but I didn't plant him to get the thing going.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you, Peter.
Yes.
So funny enough, I am going to actually use a direct quote from you. This veteran is like that veteran, that's like no other veteran.
I was going to use that later, but that's okay.
I apologize. I apologize. But we were actually talking, and realistically, we're looking at veterans. This is from the day that I heard that quote from you, way back in our vet corps days. That really helped shape that perspective. When in the military, you have uniforms, you have identifiers, you have name tags, ranks. But now that we're all veterans, we're sitting in a room full of our colleagues, our peers, and this is what we're working with every day. So, at least that's what we can.
Yes, yes. Tony right there, and then we got something over here.
I'm just Sean.
Name, sir.
My name's Chris Diaz, Skagit County, Navy. I met Robert here, and we had a lot of in common things. He brought up honor, courage, commitment before I could, so I thought it was pretty cool. And then I spent 3 years hanging out with Marines, so I think we got along pretty quick, or got together pretty quick there and stuff. So
It's good that you added that caveat. So there was somebody in the back, Tony, and then right up here. Thank you. Name, sir?
Good morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Salvador Cruz. I'm a CSR Consolidated Veteran Service Representative for Yakima at the Yakima Nation. And when I was speaking to my sister here, Shannon, I just met her like maybe 10 minutes ago. That's awesome. She's my sister, right? And then, you know, the thing that came to mind to her was how we military people, veterans, you know, we leave home. We leave home, we leave family and friends, and then we come back. And then so, not enough representation, not enough assistance, and that's what it, you know, we image. So, and surprisingly, we both, our outreach, we serve veterans. So that's what we do now. We serve the veterans that serve. So,
Thank you,
awesome.
sir.
Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
that very much. So we'll go here, and then Candace is in the back. I recognize Candace in that.
Yeah, I met Dewey
Name,
here.
sir. Name, sir.
My name's Michael Jones,
Thank you, sir.
and I met Dewey here. And we both served in Europe, of all things, and so we talked a lot about Europe, so military members being in Europe. But we also talked a little bit about when you get out, how we didn't settle on just one job. We've been in several jobs, several different ones. Actually get bored with certain jobs, and then you move on to the next. So that's what we're talking
Great.
about.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Candace is coming up, and then I guess so we'll do two more, and then I know we gotta move on. So Candace, go.
My name's Candace. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and when I think of images of veterans or what I feel like veterans look like in the world, to me it's this odd group of people who don't fit into society, who have a different way, a different perception of the world, carry burdens that most of the world doesn't have to carry those. But within that odd group of people is a brother and a sisterhood that is never lost, never forgotten, and is a home within itself.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Nancy, and I'm a mental health professional at the King County Jail, and I work with incarcerated veterans. I also come from a long, long line of service. Didn't serve myself, but grew up with watching what happens when they come home. My uncle Bobby served in Vietnam, and he now lives in the woods. And my uncle Glenn served in Korea and came home and unfortunately struggled with alcohol addiction and ended up homeless. And so I have always seen the impact that that service can have both positive and negatively, and the impact on their families, both positively and negatively. And so that impact on me was for a long time. I couldn't hardly look at somebody in uniform without crying. Like I'd be in JCPenney's and somebody would walk by in fatigues and I would just have to go cry, because what comes to mind to me is sacrifice, both by the people who served and by their families.
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy.
I don't cry anymore.
It's okay. It's okay if you do. And Nancy just reminded me of something I forgot to mention at the beginning. The content I'm about to share may be emotional to you because we're going to go down a path of talking about some trauma. And so if you got to take care of yourself, I want you to do that. Take some deep breaths. If you need to leave, that's okay. But please take care of yourself during the time we have. So this slide, when I've gone out and presented to the civilian population, this slide has a little bit more meaning beyond what you guys shared. So I'm curious, if you could just click for me, I'm curious, was there any discussion of women in your conversation? Yes? Good. Was there any conversation of LGBTQ plus or BIPOC people in your conversation? Or how about Native American or Indigenous folks in your conversation? And the reason I bring that up is because we have people that come from all walks of life that entered the military, correct? Native Americans serve at a higher rate than any other population, right? There's 500, and please, I'm gonna mention stats. If they are wrong, I need you to let me know. I'm not abashed about let's make it right. But bottom line, 573 federally recognized tribes, and out of those tribes, we've got a higher number of folks that serve. Active duty, we have over 1 million folks that have served, 82.5% are male, 17.5% female. We got 15.8 million vets, 1.7 million females. Those numbers are rising, and half of the vets are 65 years and older. So a transsexual folk, 15,500 on active duty, 134,300 veterans. So I offer that just as a perspective, because that's the fabric of the military, folks from all walks of life, all walks of life. So if we can go on to the next slide, this is probably, oh, I'm sorry, thank you. If we go on to the next slide, thanks, Tucker. So I present this because you saw the pilot here this morning, but you know, when I went in, I'm a Cold War vet. And when I went in, there weren't a lot of women in the military, but there are now, right? And the number is growing. And when I saw this picture, what's your reaction? Yeah, right? Yeah. But look how young, right? But they still carry on the legacy of us. They're on the shoulders and backs of us, right? Who have come forward to serve, and also those family members. If we could move on to the next one. Thank you. So, I'm going to ask you again. Could you reach out and extend your hand to somebody that you don't know, and answer the question of why does one choose to join the military? This isn't going to take too long. I'm not going to test you on it afterwards. And why does one choose a particular branch over another? Give me a couple minutes. Thank you.
So, I was in the military, so I kind of don't exactly have that. Like me, I was just family trying. But so I was like, it's surprising you had it's like the two I don't want to let that go. I tried, but like I do
and 1. Curious, what'd you guys come up with? What was part of your conversation there? Why do people join?
All different reasons.
Well, yeah, Tony said you run around. You might break your knee or something. I'll just repeat what they say. Sir?
History of military.
And Dewey, history of military family.
Tradition.
Name?
Avoid the draft.
Charles, avoid the draft?
Tradition.
Tradition. Thank you, geez, yes.
Get out of Dodge.
Getting out of Dodge, name please.
Sharon.
Sharon, thank you, Sharon.
Harvey, I got drafted.
Harvey got drafted. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Troubled youth.
Trouble?
Troubled youth.
Troubled news? Youth, I'm sorry. My wife says I gotta get my hearing checked and my hearing aids aren't working. Tell me your name.
Corey.
Corey, thank you. Others? Yes, ma'am.
Selfish reason.
So-
Education.
Education, great. And your name, please.
Jackie.
Jackie, thank you, Jackie. Others? Yes, ma'am.
So I can be better than my brother.
Ah, better than my brother. Wow, that's powerful. Thank you. Miss Linda, thank you.
Shannon, love of country, and to be the first female in my family to serve.
Did you hear that? Love of country, the first female to serve. Yes.
I was homeless, so I went in the Air Force to have a home.
So Michael say homeless, go in the Air Force, right? Sir,
Joe, you don't know what else you're gonna do?
right.
You don't know what's next.
Aimless, purposeless, and want to do something. Yes, sir.
We were in combat,
Name, please.
Larry Ratz.
Thank you, Larry.
We were in combat, and I thought better the single guy go there than the married man with children, or so we had to take care of his parents.
So you said, you felt in your heart, I'm gonna go so somebody else can be their home with their family. Thank you. I saw another hand somewhere. Candace,
Searching for purpose.
searching for purpose. I gotta tell you, could we all collectively write a book together with all the experience in here, right? I'm home. Really good stuff. Anyway, so what did you hear? I heard job security, I heard skills, I heard, other reasons, GI Bill, leave home, escape trauma. I've had people tell me that, yes, I was homeless, I had a child, and I had to go in. I had to get health care somehow. I wanted to travel to see the world, family tradition, honor, service, to escape poverty, all of those reasons collectively, right? But I will say, as Sean tried to articulate earlier, that all veterans are like some veteran, are like no other veteran, and it is our mission, right, when we meet that person, to understand what their reason was and what their purpose was for joining. That's a good question that we can start to, it's an innocuous question, right? We always hear, I don't know about you, but when they hear I'm a veteran at the checkout line, thank you for your service. Well, how do you know what you're thanking me for? You haven't heard my story. You don't understand what my experience was. I understand what they're trying to do, but it's like selling me a pair of tires. I don't need that, but if we want to connect, and that's what our veterans need, they need connection. A question like this, so innocuous, can just lead us down a path of such rich and fertile conversation. Okay, so if we could, the branches of the service. Zena?
Yeah, thing on the, when people say, thank you for your service, I say, you're welcome, and it's an honor to have served the greatest country in the world.
Wow.
And I continue serving in the American Legion and helping other veterans too. So that, for me, helps. And I found it on Facebook or something. Somebody was saying, what do you say? So it's like tying to them to say, the greatest country in the world and the military that we have served.
Yes.
And continue serving.
Thank you, Ortiz. Yes, thank you.
So, our warrior association, the ones that did the flag detail yesterday in the morning, they, I guess I gotta repeat that. So, the ones that did the flag detail in the morning, the Yakima Warriors Association, the leader there, he told us during one of the meetings, he said, we were talking about this very same thing, and he came up with saying, to those, if we recognize some military member, we just tell them, welcome home, brother. But welcome home, sister, and that really hits home.
There you go. Yeah, I think particularly for Vietnam folk, right? Linda,
Well, I've struggled with,
please.
I struggled with people saying to me, thank you for your service, because I never knew what to say. And I would have an awkward pause because they didn't know my story, and you didn't even know if I got out honorably or anything, But what I started to say to them was, thank you for your support. And I left it just simply at that.
Isn't that a beautiful, thoughtful response? I'm learning from you folks here today. That's just beautiful. So one branch over the other. And here's where we're gonna get some humor, I'm sure. Mike, did you have a?
I was gonna say, because my recruiter lied to me.
So why? Just real quickly, a few of you, Sean.
Military history with the Army. I mean, my grandfather served in the Army Air Corps.
Okay.
I believe it's known as the Air Force now, sir?
Yes, sir, yes.
I just want to make sure facts are thrown out there.
Yes, sir. Some people might call it the Chair Force.
Great. They're always in outer blue.
Hey, so other branches. Why? Army, but why?
again, to outdo my brother.
Outdo the brother,
Air
okay.
Force.
Air Force? Yes, why?
Smartest branch out there.
Oh, we'll take a couple more, because I can tell what's going to happen in here now. Sir?
United States Marine Corps to be part of the best.
Okay.
I joined the Army because the Navy had a year-long waiting list for the job title I wanted.
Okay, your long waiting list. Yes. Yes, sir?
In the Air Force, we could turn around and retreat at 400 miles an hour.
Okay. All right. I opened it up, didn't I? One more, then we'll move on. Yes, sir?
Navy.
Navy.
There you go.
Okay.
Move and groove.
All right, okay. I gotta share that, thank God for my Boy Scout leaders, right? My parents are from the old country, they worked really hard. They were working all the time, and so I got involved in Boy Scouts. Every one of my scout leaders was World War II, served Navy, served in the branches, and I owe it to them. I'm sorry I never got a chance to go back to them and say thank you, but that service continued, and that we always hit it amongst each other. I couldn't understand it at the time, but now I do, and thank you for your round of humor today. So I'm thinking that the next slide, I'm sorry, I was supposed to do a thumbs up. The next slide, what's the transition like entering the military? I know I'm not going to finish everything, but I'm going to do this anyway. It's 3 minutes, and because there are some folks here that are civilian, and this might be the first experience, for some of you, maybe it'll be a chance to go down memory lane. So let's go ahead and show it, Tucker.
Let's go, we don't have all day. Hurry up and get down the freaking hill. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Oh, get your own load up with you. You're not going to be able to carry it? Stop right there. Stop right there. Carry the freaking bag. Carry it. Lift it upstairs now. And it's Jet, Drill Sergeant. You got that? Say it. Drill Sergeant.
What you just saw was the initial reception of the practice coming from the 43rd to the unit and first made aware of how big a change is coming into their life.
Everyone stand. Pick up the clear bag and let's go. Hurry up.
Going from civilian to soldier, the soldierization process has a number of steps. The first step is the shock and awe. It doesn't look all that pleasant because we are pushing them.
Do not take your bag up. What don't you understand about that? You fight, you carry it. That's just not good. Pick that bag up.
Our goal is to stress them because combat is far more stressful than anything that we're going to do to them.
We're going to be carrying dang whip. I don't know if I trust anything but a dang spit roll. I love an M16 or M4. Becoming a United States Army soldier is not something that's going to be easy. Transforming yourself from civilian to Part of the world's most elite fighting force is a journey that will transform you both physically and mentally.
We are primarily teaching them the ability to move quick, fast, and in a hurry, which they do not have. Our goal is to make them both physically and mentally strong. And it has to start somewhere. When it all boils down to if they don't acclimate, if they don't socialize, it could be their lives or the lives of the battle buddies that left them behind.
It was kind of a shock when I got here and all the drill sergeants were like all in our faces, yelling and stuff. And I don't know, it's kind of frightening at first, but I mean, as time went on and we got to know them and their personalities, I mean, things started getting easier, like day by day.
And you have enlisted in the military, something the majority of society would never do. So you've already been a success. You've taken that extra step. Don't give up on day one. Because if you quit now, you're going to quit at everything else that you ever try to do in your life.
Why are you here? I don't know.
Thank you. So that was memory lane for some of you, I'm sure. And I'm curious, what did you pick up in the film? What came to mind? Just you know, what you thought, sir?
I was in a different army then.
They
definitely wouldn't talk to me like that.
Yeah. So was it a different army then, right? Yeah. Say your part. You want to make sure everybody knows who's talking.
Vietnam veteran, I'm a draftee.
Drafty Vietnam vet. Thank you, sir. Coming back to you, Paul. And you are?
My name is Sonny. I'm the Permanent Colorado Tribes Veterans Advocate. I noticed that.
Do that in the intro.
Good morning. My name is Sonny Carden. I'm the Veterans Advocate for the Colorado Confederate Tribes. I noticed that they didn't show any Marine Corps stuff up there because, tell you what, it was not that easy. They were not that nice. So I don't know where they came from, maybe Navy or something, but it wasn't Marine Corps.
All veterans are like some veterans.
Yeah, Paul Thorpilo, Bebop, Bellingham. How many people were woken up with metal garbage cans?
Oh yeah!
And then I remember the drill sergeants like screaming at me and to stand to attention. And I don't know what he's talking about. I'm trying to stand to attention, and I could feel that cold, wet wind coming off the Great Lakes, and I was like, this is going to be a long 4 years.
So I'm curious, did you pick up on what the chief, the command sergeant major said at the end? What did she say? You're going to quit now, you're going to quit everything you do forever. Is that true?
Yes.
Is it true in the civilian world?
No.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, that's an absolute statement, isn't it? You're going to quit. If you quit now, you're going to quit everything you do forever. We're human beings. We're resilient, right? But is that true? I'm just wondering, right? Is there some gray area to that comment? But the military is all about absolutes, correct? And what does that statement do to somebody who maybe didn't succeed, or didn't make it through, or didn't get the discharge that they deserved, right? Because of the forces, the politics, or whatever at the time that service member's life. What does that statement do? So we'll go on with this. Thank you for that. But you know, basic training, right? It's about turning us from a me, an I, to a we, right? Together, everyone achieves more. We become a team. And so, hugely, hugely important fact there. We endure the stress to prepare one for deployment, combat, so we tear down that self and rebuild it. And I realize the Marines think that they're torn down the most. It's probably, I don't know, I'm gonna leave that alone. I've stirred it up again. There was a little satire there, I'm sorry. But I wanna share with you that, so now we're going down the path. We started out with joining the military for a number of different reasons. We joined the branches for a number of different reasons. We went through this basic training experience, and in that basic training experience, this becomes part of the doctrine that we are now breathing and eating and living by, correct?
Yep.
Yes. And so for our Marines, I must master my rifle as I master my life. Without my rifle, I am useless. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade behind. I will never falter. I will never fail. Boy, that's hard, harsh thinking to put in someone's head. And then they discharge out and they still have that in civilian life. But nonetheless, what happens when I leave a fallen comrade behind? What does that set up internally? Mind, body, soul, right? So, okay, as we go on then, you know, this is important stuff. Then we talk about core values. And look at those core values. Someone mentioned it earlier, Chris, right? You guys were talking about core values. And so these values, I think, are hugely ingrained in us. And as we exit, we still have these values and we're trying to find our place in the world. And I think employers, what they ought to be doing is putting their values up at their website, because if they did, the veteran would find and be attracted to that place and go to work for it because their values are the same. That's a 30-second commercial there. But anyway, values, correct? Now, I didn't realize Space Force. I didn't know offense to anybody in the Space Force. Anybody in the Space Force here? Not yet, right? We'll see them coming. But they've got values too, right? So, okay. Anyway, I hope I did not mean to make that sound offensive or insulting. Please, I know it came across that way, and I didn't mean to make that. Core values. They have core values. They're guardians, right? They call them guardians. They're guardians. That's what they are called. Soldiers, Navy, sailor. I mean, those are guardians. Okay. Coast Guard. Yes. You know what? I did forget to put yes, honor, respect, devotion, and duty. Yeah, coasties. You bet. Okay. You guys, you're really fun to be with today. So, if we go on to that. So, I pulled this up because for thousands of years now, people have been going into the Army, the military, to serve with this warrior sort of ethos, and I thought Brad Pitt might be good from the movie Troy. But that's not to second guess that a woman couldn't be up here either, right? Yes. And so, but bottom line is strength, valor, courage, fortitude, honor, esprit de corps, respect, integrity are all noble traits of a warrior. We all learned this, correct? No matter what branch. Even the Air Force guys, we learned that too. So for a warrior to develop stress symptoms of any kind is a failure to live up to that warrior ideal. See how those absolutes are starting to set up some things in our mind and anyway, I hope you're getting it. So, what I'd like to do then is, I'd like you to take a couple minutes then with, you can pick whoever you want to now. I'd like you to then, what skills are necessary to survive a deployment or a war zone? What skills are necessary, and what were the environmental stressors? Doesn't matter what branch, doesn't matter what era, but there's always stressors of some kind, environmental, and you all were in the military, and some of you have had parents and other relatives serve. So what did they have to go through to prepare for? What was the mind to just go ahead, get together? I'm excited to hear what I'm getting excited. I'm stumbling over myself.
It was great. There were times I had to stop or talk to people or kind of after whatever. Be like, look, and I'm not having and I was started to encourage like that. So that's what we give each other
It's like I finally arrived.
Curious about your conversations, and I got to tell you, it's an honor for me to stand up here and see you guys engage in heartfelt conversation, making connections with people. And that's what education aspires toward, is the connection and the learning, right? And you guys, I'm humbled, really humbled. Anyway, so what did you come up with? What skills are necessary to prepare for deployment or war zone? Yes, sir.
Resilience.
Resilience, and your name is?
AJ.
AJ, thank you. That says Arthur, but okay, AJ.
Go ahead.
All right. Resilience, go ahead.
Mental toughness.
Toughness, mental toughness, sir.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, name?
Jeff.
Jeff, thank you. Other, yes.
Your military training and actually becoming numb to that fear.
Becoming numb to the fear because of the military training. Good. What else? Sir.
My name's Jim. To have the skill to shoot somebody and kill them without a second thought.
Skill, so I'll repeat that. Jim was sharing to be able to shoot someone without a thought. Others? Sir. Michael.
Mine is to be able to go back, you know, because there was times when I went there, did it, and then came out, and then they would send me back in, and being able to go back.
To go back, having to develop the skill to go back. I'm going to come back to you, sir. Yes.
They're kind of similar, but I think it'd be knowledge / creative thinking.
Knowledge, creative thinking. Knowledge, creative thinking. Okay, get over here. No. Yeah.
Doing whatever it takes to survive.
Whatever it takes to survive, Sonny. Okay, sir? Name,
Name Steve, adaptability of environment or the enemy.
Okay, adaptability of the enemy. Got two more, and then we'll come back to Linda, and then we'll cut it. Right over here, there's Sean. Seth.
Yeah, Seth, having witnessed accidents and witnessed injuries and stuff, sometimes it's just luck. It just, sometimes it doesn't make any sense. You can use all the training skills you want and still get hurt.
Got it. Randomness of events, okay? You were gonna say, Candace, you were gonna say something?
Steve stole mine.
Huh?
Steve stole mine.
Okay, so right up there and then we're gonna Paul.
I think this is probably universal. Being in the zone, when you're on patrol, you're on convoy, not thinking about how it is in the rear. Because when you're not in the moment, that's when danger comes, that's when accident happens, people die. You have to be in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Be there.
Great. And your name?
Cruz. I got that from Eric.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
And one thing that we came up with is the ability to compartmentalize your life at the time, because Alana, is that correct?
Yes.
What she was talking about is like the people that had families back home and stuff, when they got that call to their family, there was a lot of stress put on right there, and so they tried to support them, the people that were single and didn't have a spouse, whatever. So the ability to compartmentalize your life while you're in battle.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna move on, if you don't mind. And I think we have rich ideas here. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this a step further. So Battlemind is what we're talking about. And Battlemind can be considered as a protective or a risk factor, depending upon the context or situation. And when we talk about Battlemind, the concept came from a General Crosby Saint, commanding general, U.S. Army, using one's strength to face fear and adversity in combat with courage, confidence, and mental toughness. So we could go ahead and, so let's talk about Battlemind. As I understand it, what skills are necessary? And some of you mentioned these already. Trusting one's battle buddies. I have had it explained to me that I love those that I serve with to a degree more than my family. I trust them with my life. I trust them with information and experiences we shared. And when I come home, do I dare share what I experienced and saw with my spouse, my partner, my family members, my kids, my parents? I had one veteran share with me, I would never want to share with them what happened on September 17th when we were in a 14-hour battle in Iraq and what we did to the population there, right? So I can trust that with my battle buddies, that we get the point. And there's an operational security too, mission ops, right? We can't share beyond the mission or to whomever. There's no need to know for anybody else but us. So that's also another, say, burden of sorts to be able to hold on to, but you can't share it with anybody else. The targeted aggression, right? I heard it out here before. How are you going to push through and go toward that which is attacking you, but getting into that warrior self of, right? Moving forward. And that targeted aggression gets into the anger and adrenaline of how we solve that problem of getting over that hill or going through that enemy or doing what we got to do. Tactical awareness, being aware of one's surroundings and environment. That's how you survive, right? It's situational awareness. The quick decisions, I heard it before. Jim, I think you said it earlier. Did I get it right, Jim? Yes, okay. Jim was saying that earlier. Split-second decisions will save lives, right? That's what happens. Being lethally armed, and I know for those in the Army and the Marines in particular, that was huge. What did we see in the creed for the Marines? If they're not armed, what are they?
We're always armed.
Yes. But they're useless if not, correct? And then the emotional control detachment, we know that. I just witnessed some things happen. My battle buddy died, and I gotta move on. I gotta push it down, and I gotta move on. Individual responsibility, getting my gear, keeping myself in shape, making sure my mental set is right. But I have to be individually responsible, because if I'm not, who's going to pay the cost? Right? And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but thank you. And then finally, discipline and order. You know, we know what the chain of command is. We know being disciplined will get us toward whatever our mission is and what we got to do. Right? Make sense? Okay, so that's Battlemind, correct? Battlemind. So we go. We just talked about Battlemind. But what about Homemind? We have these skills that have been taught, and you know, many of us went into basic training and spent tech school and spent time in a war zone or deployed or whatever. And even for those that have not gone to war, I think this still somewhat applies. But if we think about what happens here, and we go into basic training, and we go through that experience, we get out, is there a program that you know of that helps one to become a civilian again? Does the government spend time and say, by the way, you spent 4 years in, psychologically, emotionally, there's been some changes that have gone on with you. You're going out into a world where it's going to be different now. Here's how we're going to prepare you for that. Does that happen? No. No. You can't tell me a TAPS class does that. Right? Nancy?
We had this conversation with my vets in jail. Of course, they did not do well with their reintegration because bad decisions were made and they are now in jail. But what we thought we really need, what they thought would be great, is reverse boot camp.
Yes.
So they like have a fake town somewhere, and for the first 2 weeks they just have to come back and live in this little town and learn how to do stuff again. And then maybe for the last week bring their families with them to try to integrate back in before we send them home.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Wouldn't that be brilliant? There's some, we can learn from some other cultures that do that. And I realized I spent time in McNeil Island Correction Center. I'm sorry, I did my psych residency. I wasn't there. But many of the vets there appreciated the structure. They appreciated the environment because they knew how to survive in that, right? So anyway, so let's talk about Homemind. I get out and I can't trust, we're my battle buddies. And I have a family I can't really probably talk to. So now what am I feeling? Isolation and avoidance, correct? And don't, what's one of the questions that you hear people asking those that have gone to war? What was it like? Did you kill anybody? Oh my God, right? How many people did you kill? Thank you. So, the details, do they remain important when you get out? I'll give you an example. I remember a counselor calling me. I just given this presentation to some local community colleges, and I had a counselor call me and says, hey, I got to share a story with you. We had a veteran who was at the registration line, admissions line, and that veteran was clearly upset. One office had said, you need to do this with this form. Another office said, you need to do this with this form. And another office, here he is at the admissions line, and this guy's feeling like he's getting jerked around. He's doing what he's been told. The details are important. I know what details do, because if I don't follow details, people will die. That's in his mind. And so here he is, frustrated. Wants decisions to be made like that. And what happened is the council, and the guy, it turns out, had a mild TBI, but that doesn't excuse behavior in that respect, but he still was living Battlemind. So what did she do? She approaches this guy and says, hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm a counselor here. I understand that you served in the military, and in the military, we don't get the details. You get the details right. Details are how you survive. Here in higher education, we don't do well sometimes with details. We're in the civilian world now. Details, boy, tough stuff, right? And so within 30 seconds, This guy went down to baseline, because here's what she said. I am here to see you successful. I understand military service is like this, and the civilian works like this. I am here to help you to be successful. Can we go back to my office and have a conversation about what just happened here? And I'll make sure to get you started. You see what happened? In that languaging, she acknowledged the military culture, and then acknowledged the civilian culture, and then acknowledged herself as being the liaison, that change agent, that ambassador to make that transition happen. Does that fit? Can you do that? I believe you can. I believe you can. Quick decisions, snapping reactions, you know, that's how it happens in the military. But in the civilian world, what do they think? Is it efficient to be that way in the civilian world? Do people understand that? Right? The world is about absolutes in the military. Is the world about absolutes in the civilian world? Yet we carry that mindset into the civilian world, expecting it to be the same way as in the military. Right? The vigilance about surroundings. I was the dean at Evans Community College. We had a bomb threat in our admissions office on campus one day. So they shut down the building, they put up caution tape, they brought in the dogs, helicopters were flying overhead, and I also oversaw our counseling services on our campus. I got a call from security that says, hey, we got a guy that's pretty upset here. I saw this guy, he was disheveled clearly, he was upset, he was profusely sweating, and I walked up to him and I said, hey, what's going on? And what's happening? He says, hey man, I'm not feeling safe here. I'm not feeling safe here, okay? So tell me, what would make you feel safe? What would a Marine say?
Gun.
My gun. You know, we have a policy on campus that says weapons aren't allowed on campus. So what can we do to help you out here? My gun. I need my gun. So we went back to my office. I got him calmed down, connected him to services, and learned that he was a Marine. He'd spent 1.5 years in his basement, his sister's basement, drinking, hiding out, isolated, avoided, and decided at the encouragement of his sister to try to go back to school. And so anyway, he did get hooked up, got him hooked up with a DVA provider. He did get hooked up and also connected him to the VA. And I saw him about 3 or 4 months later on campus. He says, hey man, how's it going? Oh, and I forgot to mention vigilance. He would walk campus an hour before the campus classes started. He would walk the perimeter of campus. He would walk around his classroom and to make sure that it was safe. Make sense? That's Battlemind. There's a work in Homemind, right? So here he was doing that, and so I said, hey, how's it going? And he'd spend an hour. He says, I'm down to a half hour now, right? He was making that transition back. But here we have the vigilance of the surroundings, anxiousness in crowds, sitting in the back of the room, all of that playing itself out. The need for structure. In a higher ed setting, I walk into an office or I walk into a classroom, who's in charge? There's no insignia, there's no rank, there's no ribbons to tell me about this individual. I'm lost. I don't know how to function in this world, right? The guilt and the loss. Because we were taught to emotionally control and detach. Honey, you're different now. Seems like you get angry a lot. When I want to be intimate with you, you push me away. We don't share feelings anymore. It just seems so foreign to me how we are going to survive, what we're going to do. Controlling those emotions. We're human beings. If we don't share emotions, what does that do for our social contact? We don't connect, right? So, and then finally, the inflexible interactions. You know, I've heard folks come home from deployment. They got a 13-year-old because one spouse has been running the household. Now this person's inserted into the household again, and they're expecting things to be the same as when they left. And so here I got a 13-year-old, the room's a mess. Hey, I think you need to clean that room now. Oh, I'll get to it. Does that work? That doesn't work. So what we have here is Battlemind to Homemind. I gave a presentation at a community college in Montana one time, and we took a break right after this information. And I come back, and this gentleman, his nickname was Doc. He was a Vietnam vet, a combat medic, and his head was buried in his hands, and he was sobbing. Oof. He was sobbing. There was a woman next to him, comforting him, holding him by the shoulders. Sorry. Doc, what's going on, man? What happened? And he says, why didn't anybody share this information with me 45 years ago? My life would be so much different now. So for me, I've heard that story over and over again. We've got Vietnam veterans still living up in the Cascades and in the Olympics, up in the mountains, being isolated. I gave a presentation years ago to Catholic Community Services in Everett, and they were starting to see Vietnam vets coming out of the hills of the Cascades because their bodies weren't able to handle it anymore, but they were still living Battlemind. Why do some veterans wind up in a facility? Because of Battlemind. So it behooves us, right? It behooves all of us in here to be the bridge, the ambassador between one world and the other. And I've had DBOPs and leavers tell me, the employment security folk, right? Are you aware of all DBOP, what a DBOP and a leaver is? Yep. Local Veteran Employment Representative, Disabled Veterans Outreach Program. So they have, they've made copies of this slide and had it out for conversation because they picked up that this person still lives in Battlemind, and they now become the bridge. And what a huge bridge to employment, right? Okay, any thoughts or questions about what I just shared? Yes, sir. I'm going to give you the mic because we want you to be heard. Thanks.
Harvey Moses, a Vietnam vet, combat vet. I've been trying to get compensation since 1974 from the VA. And about 2 years ago, I had my family and friends write letters about how I seemed to them before and after. And
you know, brother, do it.
Take your time. No words go out. Thank you, Harvey. Sonny?
I imagine there's a lot of people here that can relate to what's going on. I didn't see combat even though I was in the Marine Corps, but I'm the veterans advocate where I'm out in the field talking to the veterans and giving them transports, helping them with food, electricity, you know, those sorts of things just to help them get along. What I've noticed with the Vietnam veterans is they're, like you said, they're just out there. They don't want to come in, they don't want to be helped. And their medical status is really terrible. They wait till the very end to come in and see our you know, I work with our, to come in and see our program to get help. And it's kind of depressing, but what I've learned is that, you know, I have PTSD and anger management, detachment, all of those stuff. I had trouble with my kids. I see a psychiatrist. And when I relate this to all of my Vietnam veterans, they kind of start understanding. I tell them I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, you know. I've been through everything that they have. So just relating to them in that way has kind of opened them up because the Vietnam veterans wait to the very, very, very end before they come and see me. Where, you know, they could have had years and years and years of assistance, but now they're looking at maybe the end of their life and just maybe a year or two dying of cancer, just getting help. And it's saddening, but the way I've learned to relate to them is relate my story and tell them that I too suffer from the same things they do. And that seems to help them come in and talk to me and get assistance. So I've learned that because I've been working with this program now for 3 years. So that's helped my Vietnam veterans by relating to them my things, the things I go through, because they have a hard time believing that. I see a psychiatrist every month, you know, for my problems and everything. So, well, you're okay. No, I'm not. I'm not okay. And that's the Battlemind to Homemind, because I relate to a lot of what he's been speaking about.
I've been calling you Sonny, but your name tag is John.
Everybody's Sonny.
Thank you.
If you
Tony?
lived on a reservation, you'd understand.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm gonna stand for this.
So I'm gonna say this right now, it's a comment. This is a great presentation. This should be presented like at the main event as a speaker, because a lot of us are veterans here, so we all bought naughties to this great, and the first day, the majority of vendors are there. I'm just saying, this should be a guest speaker thing for the next year's because this is really reaching a lot of us, but we know this needs to reach the other people that are non-veterans, who are psychiatrists, who are counselors and stuff, so they can know what we see on a daily basis. So again, this is a great presentation. I think this should be presented next year as a guest speaker in front of everybody, kind of thing, not as a breakout session. I want to say that.
Tony, did you slip him a 50?
No.
Yeah, Tucker, I was going to mention something that came up when you mentioned discipline and order. There was kind of an implied promise that discipline will work out for you, and that all of these things that you've been taught in the military will work. And when you exit the military and you come into being a veteran and in the civilian world, and all of a sudden they don't work, that's a tremendous betrayal that you suddenly have to deal with from so many different sources. That all of these things that you've taught and been totally ingrained as like a core fundamental part of who you are, now are completely betraying you left and right. And it's not that those are betraying you, it's that the world around you is betraying you. And I've seen that in so many of the veterans that I work with, and especially like you were talking about for institutions like that, like colleges, the VA, et cetera.
So let's see. Yes, we'll come back. Okay. So we got a couple of hands here, and then we'll come back. We got 15 minutes left. And
That's what I wanted to say before, because I saw.
No. I'm grateful.
I just want to point out something. So I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and the Vietnam War was on the nightly news every night. And that was the first time that Americans saw what war really, really was. And as a result of that, our Vietnam veterans carry an extra burden than anybody else, and that is they were not welcomed home. They often changed into civvies before they got off the airplane because they didn't want to walk through an airport in uniform because they were called baby killers and they were spit on. And that is an extra burden and why they hide in the woods.
Yes.
I just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you for that.
Because not every generation has gone through that.
Yep. Thank you. Let's do a couple more, and we'll finish up over here. 1, 2, and then 3, and then we'll move on. There's 2 here, and then 1 there. 2 hands, and there we go.
Good morning. My name is Michael. I'm a Marine, one of the few and proud in here. You're probably familiar with David Grossman. I read a book on killing.
Yes.
I listened to the lady talking about deprogramming with a town. Nothing is new here. We're not reinventing the wheel. Since biblical times, we've had combat, we've had decompression at the end.
Yes.
The hard question is, why, if we know this, isn't it better? If we can make a killer as well as we do, why can't we make a human being back to a civilian, or at least we'll call him a citizen, because you'll never be the same. And if that's the question, who do we talk to? We want to put it in a survey to bring you back as a guest note speaker. How do we, as a country, what buttons do we got to push? Who do we got to talk to make something like this happen in a reality?
Got it. So you're asking me a question?
That is a question.
Okay. I would say, ask that question in the email. I don't know the answer to that other than, sure, I think any one of you could take this, take your stories, and take this and go out into the community and present. It doesn't have to be me. Well, I'm happy to, and I'm honored. But you folks now can take this content and become the ambassador. You can save lives, right? So but I thank you for the question, and that's something I guess we'll take up as a committee. I was not on the planning committee, but we can talk about that. Thank you. Okay.
To finish.
Welcome back.
Anyway, I had my family write letters to help me with my PTSD claims. And I never seen so many. I didn't think I was such an asshole. I thought I was normal. But every one of them had something different, had something to say about the way I treated them. I had 4 children. I had one born before I went to the home retreat when I came back. And it was just heart-wrenching. It was really difficult to read. Shit, that was me. That's me. That's me now. I was talking to my wife a couple of weeks ago, and she asked me, says, "Does he bother you?" No. Any little thing can set me off. I don't know what it is, but I told her, she says, "You went to Nam 40 years ago." I said, "I know, but I'm still there. I don't physically, but I'm still there." And she looked real funny.
Did you get your claim? Did you get your claim?
No.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Can I fix that?
Thank you. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Danielle Fleming, and I am a substance use disorder professional. I've been in the field for about 25 years, and currently I'm the instructor at Yakima Valley College for our substance use disorder program. And I'm really glad to be here. This information is very helpful in helping that transition and be able to have that language gap filled. It's essential, and I'm so glad to be here. I'm looking forward to inviting you guys back and maybe even coming and speaking at Yakima Valley College.
Right, and then we'll move on. I hope I didn't sound like a politician with my response. Honestly, it'll be considered.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you bet. Oops. Go ahead.
Hey, first off, thank you, sir, for all of this. I think a lot of us resonate with this as much as possible, but there was one statement I heard you make, and I kind of want to address it. And it was, when we come back, we become civilians again. That's never going to be the case. None of us come back as the person we were beforehand.
Good.
But the challenge in that, and for those that do have that interaction with our veterans, with the families, is understanding the fact that the family is looking for the same person. The friends are looking for the same person that left 4, 5, 6, 15, 20 years ago, and that person no longer exists. The Battlemind bringing this idea to light really is essential because people don't know who you are anymore. So thank you again.
I appreciate you checking me on that, what I just said, and you're correct. You're absolutely correct. Thank you. Absolutely. Okay, the PowerPoint is going to be out there, and I did pass out, 30 copies. I didn't anticipate 90 people would be here. Sorry. So anyway, it's there. Okay, so I've got a few minutes left. I'm not going to cover the rest of the slides, but a couple more, because we did, there are environmental stressors, right? That also go with not only the Battlemind and Homemind experience. For those that deployed here in the last 20 years, you have the heat, the sandstorms, the critters, the IEDs, who's the friend, who's the foe, multiple extended deployments, leaving the family, military sexual trauma, right? All of these environmental stressors. For Vietnam, it was the jungle, the heat. Just every era, a veteran has environmental, psychological stressors that they deal with. The big one, which is huge, is for those that have been in combat, is the burden of killing, death, and destruction. Right? The burden of killing, death, and destruction. So, orders given to kill. Killing with hate, rage, and elation. The death or maiming of women and children, killing someone up close. Seeing gruesome scenes of carnage, handling dead body parts. Colonel Hogue published an article in 2004 of a number of veterans or military service members returning, and bottom line, 94% had received small arms fire, 86% seriously injured or killed, had witnessed or seen, 68% seen dead or seriously injured Americans, 51% handling or uncovering human remains, 77% having been directed or shot at, 48% responsible for the death of an enemy combatant, 28% responsible for the death of a non-combatant. So the burden of death, killing, and destruction. So we talked about Battlemind to Homemind. Now let's add another layer to that. Ed Tick in his book, War in the Soul, talks about Native American culture and how, and please, I'm no expert at this, so we've got more wisdom and experience in this room than the tribes. But as Tick describes it in his book, he described how people would come back from war to the tribe, and the tribe would remove these folks and take them away so that they can emulate and ritualize and go through the experiences of PTSD. And after sharing their story, after going through the ritual, then they would come back to the tribe, share their story with the tribe, and that story became the fabric of the tribe. They were welcomed back, and then believe honored as warrior status. I don't know if that's true for the other tribes that are here today, but that's what Tick talks about. Where does that happen in our civilian world, in our American culture? It does not. What would happen? Because in the native tribe, an injury to one is an injury to all. What about in our population, right? So I think we've got work to do as ambassadors, as liaisons. We've got to explain the burden of what service means for all of us. And so with that, I think about it. Why did I go in the military? Get an education, get away from home, right? Travel the world, find purpose. And I go through this experience, being acculturated in the military. I never signed up to go shoot somebody or kill somebody. And then for those that were drafted, that's another story. So I hope this presents a picture to you and gives you some understanding that our service members, all vets are like some vets are like no other vet. Everybody has a different story. But it's so important to hear that story, to give that space. So with that, I'm going to, the next few slides are about VA utilization, alcohol, substance abuse, and going through to see what a service member, what the impact of service is on the family. And I've got 5 minutes left. So what I'm going to do, can we go to the vets prevail slide? So I'm sorry I cut you short, but I wanted your voices to be heard today. So let's go. Yeah, let's play that one.
The secret to a great smile? $49 for the
That's a mood changer. There you go.
This is a dated video, but I think it punches a point. I know it's dated, but I thought it's a good, solid one to end on. Let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So I'm going to leave you with two questions to bring back to your organizations and whom you work with. And it's really around the area of best practices. How would a veteran, or how would a military service member, veteran, family member know that you and your organization, your community, is vet aware or vet friendly? What are the signs and symbols in that organization that reflect that when I walk in, I feel accepted, I feel that these people know me, they are welcoming me to being here, and I think that they may understand my experience and where I came from. What kind of relationship do you and your organization, your community, want to create with your military, veterans, and their family members? I would take this question, go back to your organization, wherever it is, college, agency, whomever, and start to ask this question. Get a veteran support group or whatever you want to call it. Bring it together and let that be the voice for the rest of the agency campus, and start to create a challenge point for your organization and welcome those folks coming in. I realize that costs a little money. Raise money in the community for it. Get your community activated with it. Okay, I could go on with that. So next slide. So in summary, I realized this was a fast 90 minutes, and we went from one down to a deep level. And I appreciate us sitting here and holding each other in the story that was shared today, and the voices that felt comfortable enough to open up and share that story. Thank you. So, I hope that you can describe 2 Battlemind skills. List some environmental stressors. identify 3 adverse effects of Battlemind. And I'm sorry we didn't get here, but you can go to the PowerPoint, and I'm sure you're aware of this already. I'm Peter Schmidt. Thanks for listening. Honored to be with you today, Fraser Crane. You guys familiar with that, or am I dating myself? It was a little humor at the end to lift it up, I hope, but anyway. All the best to you all. May the force be with you.
Please complete the survey so we can make changes.